Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. Hope you're doing great today, and thanks for tuning in to episode 286 of Tech It Out. So whether you're tuning in on your local radio station or perhaps listening to the podcast version of the show, I hope you like this weekly program that breaks down geek speak into street speak. And today's show is no exception. In fact, we've got 3 great guests for you this hour, covering a wide range of topics. We're going to start off with a look to next week, March 14th, 3.14, which is Pi Day, of course. And so we'll celebrate this nerdy day with a chat about the free Photomath app. It lets students take a picture of a math problem using their smartphone, and it helps you solve it and explain all the steps along the way. Super cool. That'll be first up on the show in 60 seconds from now. But yes, Pi Day is Tuesday, so perhaps you'll treat yourself to apple pie or a pizza pie on 3.14. And speaking of food, after that interview, we're going to be joined on Tech It Out by the creator of Chef Steps. It's a company owned by Breville, the makers of those awesome small appliances. And we're going to learn what Chef Steps is all about, between its visual cooking guides and tools and techniques and chef-tested tips and tricks. We'll also talk about the Breville Joule Oven Pro and its app as well, which is like an air fryer on steroids. And then finally on Tech It Out, once you're done eating your pizza pie and air frying your food and whipping up recipes from Chef Steps, our last interview will be a chat with the Chief Technical Officer from Orangetheory. That's right, Orangetheory Fitness, about getting a great workout thanks to its science-backed and technology-tracked workouts for its many members around the globe. All of this and more on a tasty new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'm recording this show right now on an ASUS laptop, but I'll tell you more about the company shortly. Let's officially kick off this week's Tech It Out with our first interview. Hey, so March 14th marks Pi Day.
Pi.
This is an annual celebration of the mathematical sign pi, Pi, because March 14th, or 3.14, represents the first 3 digits of pi, of course. And hey, it also happens to be Albert Einstein's birthday. How cool is that? Speaking of math, and to help celebrate Pi Day, we're going to learn now about the Photomath app for math students, and perhaps their parents as well, as we're joined by Mandy Rusin. She's VP of Product at Photomath. Hi, Mandy. Thanks for your time today.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really looking forward to this interview, in part because I struggled with math as a student, and I love what you're doing with Photomath. But before we get to the app, what's Pi Day all about?
Yeah, so Pi Day is one of those really special days for math lovers of all ages. Like you mentioned, it's a day that happens only once a year on March 14th because 3.14 are the first 3 digits of pi. We might all need a refresher. I know I did, because you might be wondering, what is pi and what does it represent? Well, pi is actually a math constant, and it represents the ratio of the circumference of a circle to the diameter of a circle. And fun fact, because it's a constant, that means that regardless of the size of the circle, whether it's a small one or a big one, the ratio will always be 3.14 or pi. So it's a really fun day. We're really excited about it. You know, we'll be celebrating the number and fully also eating some apple pie.
And I was going to ask, how can we best embrace 3.14 or March 14th? I like that. And clearly you heard Homer did as well. Yeah. But how else can we celebrate Pi Day?
Yeah, I love the words that you used, like embrace, right? And like you mentioned, math is not something that is easy for anyone. And we love to celebrate days like this because math is just such an important part of our everyday lives. We use math all the time when we're out shopping or when we're paying the bills. For some people, it's a part of our day-to-day jobs, part of our profession. And it's really a foundation for building those, critical thinking, problem solving, and analytical skills.
Right.
And I know math can be very intimidating, right? I have 2 kids. And I can say it's not only frustrating for kids, it's also frustrating for parents. We did a study at Photomath, and we found that over 60% of parents feel that they don't have the skills that they need to teach their kids the right way to solve or approach math problems.
And I can totally relate to that. As I hinted off the top, this app is not just for students, but maybe their parents too, who want to help them with their homework, for example. But I know I've been lost in trying to help my 3 kids with math. So with that in mind, let's chat about Photomath. At a high level, what's it all about?
Yeah, so Photomath is the world's most used math learning app, and we designed the product to make math learning more accessible. And our intent with it is really to empower students. We want students to be able to take control of their own learning, to practice or to gain an understanding at their own pace, meeting students wherever they are in their learning journey, right? I already mentioned, we talked about how personal and emotional it can be to learn math. I have a 10-year-old who's expressed all the ranges of emotions that you can imagine when she's doing homework, like tears of frustration or jumping jacks because we solved something. And from research that we've done, unfortunately, we've learned that half of parents have reported that they have a child who's labeled themselves as bad at math. And that's certainly something that we're looking to solve with this product. We don't want kids to lose confidence. We don't want them to think of themselves as bad at math. We want to help kids learn and understand how to solve the math problems that they're working on, not just the answer, but the journey to getting to the answer.
Well, that's show your work, right? That's always what my math teacher would always say, right? So I'm going to ask you how it works exactly, because there's this really cool camera related feature that we'll get to. But what ages or grades would Photomath be ideal for? And does it cover various math subjects?
Yes, a wealth of subjects.
Yeah.
Students can use it to solve problems from elementary school all the way up to graduate school. Most of our students are using it and they're studying at the high school and university level.
Okay.
And we cover topics from algebra, geometry, trig, even advanced calculus.
Oh, okay. And please walk us through how it works. It is an app opposed to a website, and it works on iPhone and Android.
Yep, you got it. Yeah. And one of the really magical things I think about Photomath is that we've made something as complex as learning math a little bit more simple. And it's so easy to use. All you do basically is you open the Photomath app and you take a picture of the problem that you're working on through the app. So it can be a picture of a problem from your textbook, a worksheet, it can be handwritten on your computer screen. And then our AI technology then recognizes the problem that you took a picture of, and then it'll show you the step-by-step explanations on how to solve it. And our explanations are created by our team of mathematicians and former math teachers so that when the students scan those problems, they're getting really clear and easy to understand explanations on step-by-step on how to solve the problem they're working on.
Got it. Again, just to be clear, it doesn't just give you the answer. It'll also tell you how to get there, more importantly. So it's a teaching tool rather than something to do your work for you. We are chatting with Mandy Rusin. She's VP of Product at Photomath, the aptly named app that leverages your smartphone camera to take a snapshot of problems, whether they be handwritten or out of a textbook, and helps you solve them for various ages and grades and different kinds of math. Now, Mandy, for parents or teachers who might be concerned that this is in fact replacing the work that students need to do, again, please clarify that this is a teaching tool, something to have in your arsenal.
Exactly. So Photomath currently is being used by teachers to also complement what they are teaching in the classroom, right? And it's being used by students not just to get the answer, but to get the step-by-step solutions, to get to the process of how to get to a solution, right? Really understanding why they need to do the steps that they need to do. And, I think another way to think about Photomath is it's like a digital tutor that is available to students whenever they need it, right? So imagine you're a student and, you might have procrastinated a little bit. It's late at night and you can't exactly recall the steps that you need to take to get to an answer. And you don't have anyone to ask. So Photomath is here for you, and you can just scan your problem and we'll explain step by step how to get to the solution.
Does it work on iPad or an Android tablet as well?
Yes, it does actually.
Okay.
Great question.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I do understand that the core Photomath is free. My kids have them all installed on their devices, but there's also a paid element that's optional. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So students can choose to upgrade to Photomath Plus. And in Photomath Plus, we provide premium content offering for students who are subscribed to Photomath Plus. And it presents math concepts to students in the context of the problem that they're working on, that they're trying to solve. We also have other premium content that we call animated tutorials. They are animated video-like tutorials to help students visualize how to solve a problem. So imagine it's sort of like what a teacher might do on a whiteboard to illustrate step by step-by-step how to solve the problem.
Okay, so the core functionality is free. It's free to download and use. And if you do want the Photomath Plus with all the extra features, how much would that cost?
For our students in the United States, it's $9.99 per month or $59.99 annually.
And I don't have to be great at math to know that there's a discount if you buy it annually instead of paying monthly. So there's your incentive right there. And is there a website to learn more about Photomath, or do you just recommend going to the App Store?
I recommend going straight to the App Store, Google Play, or the App Store, and you can just download it right now.
All right. Photomath is one word. Thank you so much for your time, Mandy. A happy Pi Day to you. I hope you have a fun time next week. Thanks so much for carving out some time to chat with us as well.
Thank you so much, Mark, and I hope you get some apple pie.
Pie.
Okay, let's play this entire Simpsons clip where Homer is facing off against a pie in the kitchen and gives it a bit of a warning.
Now, Homer, don't you eat this pie.
Okay. All right, Pie. I'm just gonna do this. Hop, 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 hop. And if you get eaten, it's your own fault. Hop, 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 hop. No! Oh! Oh! Oh, to hell with it.
Happy Pi Day, everyone. March the 14th, 3.14. Speaking of food, we're going to chat with Chef Grant Crilly, co-founder of Chef Steps, when we return on Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, accessories like keyboards, mice, and monitors. They've got mobile tech, such as smartphones and tablets, and much more, including a gaming line called ROG, or Republic of Gamers. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Before the break, we chatted Pi Day with Photomath, and we had a little bit of fun with Homer and the food reference. And speaking of eating, we're going to now learn about Chef Steps and Breville. Technology has changed every industry, for the better, I'd argue, of course, and that includes cooking. Between smart ovens and handy recipe apps, you don't need to be a foodie to appreciate what tech brings to the table, the kitchen table. For a tasty talk about cooking and technology, we're joined now by Chef Grant Crilly. He's co-founder and executive director of Chef Steps, owned by Breville, a leader in small kitchen appliances, of course. Hi, Chef. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Now, before we talk about Chef Steps and Breville, please tell us about yourself.
Sure. My name is Grant Crilly, and I grew up in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest, and it's kind of where I started my cooking career. But I've always kind of had a lean towards building, maker, hacker, just because my family, everybody in my family's makers, builders. I'm the first person to, be a chef. But we grew up in a very food-centric maker household. In my late teens, I moved to France to cook because at the time, this is before Facebook, when you still had to go to an internet cafe for $20 for an hour to log in and use the internet to email somebody. That was the place to go to learn how to cook. So I moved to France when I was 19 for a couple of years, lived and worked in India for a year or so, then Southeast Asia, then came back to the Northwest. And since then, I've been working on all sorts of projects around food technology, food products, and lots of things around food content as well.
Awesome. I saw you online, a video last spring, I want to say, early summer, hosted by Breville, where you were demonstrating what the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro can do, which we will get to. You had a pretty cool setup there in your kitchen.
Oh, yeah. The Chef Steps Studios in the heart of Pike Place Market. I've been there for more than a decade now. I love that.
Still throwing fish there?
They are. Actually, we just did a live pizza event this last Saturday in the Pike Place Market with a live audience and a big live online audience. And one of the segments was learning how to throw New York pizza. And I got one of my buddies from upstairs, Mike, who normally throws fish, to learn how to throw a pizza dough.
Amazing. With that in mind, talk to us about Chef Steps. What's it all about?
So Chef Steps is all about empowering home cooks to cook smarter and, from my perspective, to cook more epic, honestly. We're not really one of the food brands that helps people get a meal on the table in 5 minutes. There's a lot of brands out there and editorial companies out there around food that cover that gap. We're more weekend warriors, food tech, food science. We like to measure things. So we like to help people kind of become heroes and, manifest their own destiny in the kitchen with the big swings and high stakes kind of cooking events.
Awesome. That being said, as the owner of a Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro, I do love how fast you can air fry something, at least if you're reheating something, which tastes so good. But I love it. And I love the app, which we're going to get to as well. But with Chef Steps, is it true, Grant? There are about 1.7 million people that have signed up. And is it free?
So all time on Chef Steps, we have 1.7 million people who've signed up on Chef Steps. And that's, folks who registered and gave us their email basically. But
yeah,
over the years, we've obviously had many, many more uniques. And that's just on chefsteps.com.
And people who share the same account too, right?
There are people who share the same account on chefsteps.com and in our apps as well, which is totally fine. You can go to chefsteps.com in any country around the world.
All right. Now, I understand the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro that I mentioned earlier. It was a co-development between Chef Steps in Seattle and Breville in Sydney, Australia. Tell us about this versatile oven and how was it working with the Breville product development team an ocean away?
Yeah. So the Joule brand started about, 2015, 2016 at Chef Steps with our first Joule product, which was our first connected product, Joule Sous Vide. And it really centers around a visualized human way of cooking. So you can see the results before you ever begin. And in the background, the smarts of Joule does a lot of the tedious work for you, the time temperature management and all that sort of stuff. So it's no different with our new product, Joule Oven. Super proud of it. And it's been an amazing journey building it with the Sydney team. The Sydney team, or I should say Breville in general, has been building, really amazing world-class hardware or countertop appliance for many, many, many decades. So they're very good at it. What Chef Steps and Joule brought to the table was, they had a lot of successful products, and they still do, obviously, everything from espresso machines to toasters, to blenders, mixers, and ovens and microwaves. But as you make tools more and more precise, it kind of ends up raising a bigger question of what do I do with all this precision and what are the settings I should use? And that's where the idea of Joule comes in, and the visualization and the step-by-step cooking guides and all that come in. So basically you can have more of a humanistic input, which is I want it to look like this, or I want that type of output, go. And then the tool in the back end, the hardware in the back end just makes it happen from a time temperature standpoint.
So when we return, we're going to continue chatting with Chef Grant Crilly, co-founder and executive director of Chef Steps, to learn more about the cooking platform. And he was about to tell us about working with the folks in Australia at Breville and how that all came together with the app. So stay with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Chef Grant Crilly, co-founder and executive director of Chef Steps, owned by Breville, a leader in small kitchen appliances. We've been talking about the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro and the complementary app. Before the break, Chef, you were talking to us about working with the folks in Australia at Breville. Please continue.
So working with the Sydney team, which is amazing at building hardware, we basically took their highest performing oven, was the smart oven, Breville smart oven model before that. Of course, you have to change a lot of the circuitry and components of getting it connected. But once we did that, we're able to tell the oven to do all sorts of different things and have it perform in a totally different way. But, we started the whole project right before the pandemic. Of course, the pandemic happened and the world shut down, and it made it a lot more difficult to cross that ocean. But they're a team of experts and we're a team of experts. I have to say it was a really collaborative, super fun project, and it's not over yet. It's still going, because it's a connected smart appliance. It just keeps getting smarter and we keep adding to it.
Congrats. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a bit more about the app that complements the Joule oven. So I'm not a great cook. My wife, Kelly, is, but I love the idea that you can set it on your phone and get notifications when it's time to say, flip something inside or to go and get it. I also I think it's called autopilot, where based on the recipe that it will automatically change settings within the oven. For example, like from baking to broil or something like that for the last 5 minutes, that kind of thing. Talk to us about that.
It's funny because ovens, I think, we're talking about technology and you have a tech show and we're talking about the tech, and tech is a funny word that we use and we tend to associate it with new, but, I think that's true. But the oven at one point was, the highest tech. Just the plain gas oven even was like the highest tech 100 years ago, 120 years ago in the average home. For probably a good century or more, it was just trying to manage a single stable temperature over time. But again, as ovens and appliances have gotten more precise, not only can we adjust the temperature, which is different than heat, but we can adjust the heat as well, which is usually airflow or how much volume of energy over the food. So with the Joule oven, you can have, to your point, air fry, say at 450 degrees with a full turbo fan pushing a lot of heat energy over the food, then turn that off, switch it to broil or switch it to bottom break to crisp up the bottom. And it's just having the oven move through different modes of cooking and applying heat, as much heat as possible or just the right amount of heat as possible, right where it's needed, when it's needed for that particular food. And that's really what autopilot is. So instead of having to, hover over the stove and flip the steak and move it over here, and which takes all that finesse and craft, kind of what autopilot does is basically just frees you up to kind of go about your life and takes care of those kind of tedious things on the inside of the oven for you.
Does the app that you download and use with the Breville Joule Oven Pro borrow heavily from Chef Steps, Grant?
So the app side is pretty interesting. We have a couple apps out there right now. So there's a Joule app, a Joule sous vide app, and a Joule oven app in the wild. Both are great.
In the wild.
Both of them, or each of them. Yeah. Well, I guess say in the wild because we do play testing and then we ship them and they're kind of in the wild now.
Yeah, I get it.
So we have a Joule sous vide app that's been, out in the market for 6 years, has many hundreds of thousands of accounts and users. That's used to drive the sous vide tool. We launched the Joule oven app. So if you go to the App Store, you'll see a Joule sous vide and a Joule oven app. The Joule oven app drives the oven. Actually, very soon, we're going to be merging the two apps and obviously adding more tools that can even work together in the near future as well.
Anecdotally, I got to tell you, I've got 3 kids away at school. And when they were home for the summer working, they really got to know the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro, and they were bummed about having to go back to their school out of town without it, right? It was like, yeah, they got used to the convenience of cooking with it and the app and all that. It's just such a handy tool. As I said off the top, tech has changed every industry for the better. This is certainly no exception. As we wrap up, where can we learn more about the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro, including where to buy it?
You can head to Breville.com. Lots of great content on chefsteps.com. And if you want to pursue checking out anything deeper or just going ahead and buying one, I would go to Breville.com.
All right, Breville.com. Chef, thank you so much for carving out some time to chat. Really appreciate it. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right, so it was a very food-heavy start to this week's Tech It Out. I don't think many folks would complain. And so after you've eaten that apple pie, pizza pie, and things that you want to air fry in the oven, you may be wanting to work out a little bit. So that leads us nicely to our next interview coming up in a couple of minutes from now. It'll be with Orangetheory Fitness, and they've got this Max HR technology that we're going to learn about to help you be your best self at the gym with a highly personalized workout tailored to you. So we're going to learn all about the science and technology of exercising with Orangetheory, the chief technical officer at the company, no less. when we return in a few minutes. But before then, since it is March, which is Fraud Prevention Month, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about Visa, one of my partners on this program, and all the work that they do to fight fraud. Did you know that online shoppers are 3 times more likely to enter an unfamiliar store if it displays a Visa logo? And customers are 5 times more likely to think a merchant is reputable. This is because Visa has invested billions over the years in fraud prevention, so you don't need to think twice about shopping at retail or online with your Visa card, nor should businesses be concerned about secure payments. Visa is deploying advanced technology to ensure customer data is not vulnerable, no matter where the transactions take place. This includes tokenization, pioneered by Visa as one part of the solution, which reduces the risk of identity theft because this technology replaces your cardholder info with a random alphanumeric code, so that the merchant never sees your actual card number, yet ensures a fast transaction as well. To learn more about Visa's work in protecting you and your purchases, head over to visa.com/security. That's visa.com/security. Hey, if you're on social media, drop by and say hi. Let me know what you think of Tech It Out. If you have any suggestions for upcoming topics, guests, or products you want me to cover on the show, or if you have a tech question and so on. So I'll spell my name in a moment, but I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. It's Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, SALTZMAN. So it's MARCSALTZMAN. So salt, like salt and pepper, the letter Z, then man. On social media, by the way, I also post videos, tech tips of the day. I link to articles that I write for USA Today, Costco Connection, AARP, and others. I link to radio and podcast interviews like the ones you're hearing this hour. There are giveaways and so much more. All right, stick with us. Orangetheory Fitness comes up right after this.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Check it out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. What separates Orangetheory from other fitness chains out there? It's built on the premise that data is bliss, not ignorance is bliss, as the expression goes, as group workouts are science-backed and technology-tracked to help you unlock your full potential. How exactly, you ask? Well, we're going to learn now, including something called Max HR with Ameen Kazerouni. He's CTO, Chief Technical Officer at Orangetheory. Thanks, Ameen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. I'm looking forward to our chat. Before we talk about Max HR, which I think is somewhat new, this is the new news out of Orangetheory. Please tell us a bit about the company.
So Orangetheory Fitness at its core is a heart rate-based group workout. It is at the intersection of science, technology, and most importantly, expert coaching, with the sole purpose of helping members live a longer, more vibrant life. The core of Orangetheory is a 5-zone heart rate-based interval training using connected technology to track performance, learn our members better, create personalized experiences. And then at the center of it all is a certified expert coach who basically makes the workout accessible to everyone by being present, providing options, and just getting to know each individual member personally.
And just to be clear, we're talking in-person workouts with a coach, not virtual.
Absolutely. In-person studio workout experience. Yes.
And is it true there are more than 800,000 Orangetheory members worldwide now?
Yes, that is true. And while we don't share exact membership numbers, what I can tell you is that since late 2021, our global member count has increased by 56%, and that continues to rise every day.
Wow. Mostly in the US and in Canada?
We're predominantly in the US and Canada, yes, but we're in 24 other countries, a strong presence in Europe, the UK, Japan, all over the place.
Yeah. So how exactly is technology employed? You mentioned, I'm assuming it's like a wearable for the HIIT workout, the HIIT workout. And maybe we can start with what's new, that Max HR, which I think is short for a personalized maximum heart rate formula. Can you elaborate?
That's correct. Yeah. So Max HR is our proprietary personalized max heart rate algorithm. What max heart rate is at its core is the maximum beats per minute your heart can work at during exercise. And given that Orangetheory is fundamentally heart rate based interval training, it's critical that we know the max heart rate of each one of our members, because the percent of your max heart rate that you're exercising at tells you which heart rate zone you're in. Now, industry standard currently is leveraging age, which is one input variable, to decide what someone's max heart rate is. The one most people are familiar with is 220 minus age. The more recent one is known as the Tanaka formula, which is 208 minus 0.7 times your age. But the reality of it is it basically takes a single value and assumes that everybody of the same age has the same max heart rate. Now, while this is a decent approximation, it's never entirely accurate. And what we've learned across 280 to 300 million tracked workouts using our proprietary heart rate monitor across millions of members is that you can see anywhere between 60 to 75 different max heart rate values for someone of the same age. So all 30-year-olds don't have the same max heart rate at its core. That's pretty key to our experience, and it facilitates a very personalized experience that allows our coaches to understand the intensity level that each member is able to operate at, making a workout really accessible to anyone across any fitness levels.
So I was going to ask you about that. If you're not that tech savvy, are you trying to parse through all this data like on an Orangetheory app, or is this for the coaches to glean and then tweak if need be?
It's a mix and match. It's very simplified for the not tech savvy audience. The heart rate zones are broken down into colors: gray, blue, green, orange, and red. The orange and red zone is when you are in what you call the anaerobic zone, where 12 to 20 minutes in the orange and red zone is the ideal amount of time to get the most out of the workout. And for the member, it's just a matter of looking at the colors, understanding that when you're in the orange, you're going pretty hard. When you're in the red, you don't want to spend more than a minute in the red, and you want to try and get back to the green when you're recovering. The coach, on the other hand, has got eyes on your heart rate and understands exactly what you're doing and how you're moving through these zones. So just depending on how savvy you are with technology and exercise science, you can take away as much as you want to from the data we provide, both in studio and in the mobile application after the workout.
If you're just tuning into Tech It Out right now, we are chatting with Ameen Kazerouni, Chief Technical Officer at Orangetheory, or Orangetheory Fitness. We're learning about its science-backed and technology-tracked workouts for its many members around the world, more than 800,000 in fact. So when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to continue chatting about how they leverage technology to give you the best workout possible based on your particular body. While you're listening to this, you can also check out their social handles at Orangetheory or the website at orangetheory.com. If you click on the two little horizontal lines in the top left corner of the website, you'll learn a lot more about the workout itself, locations, how to join, all that kind of stuff. But more with Ameen when we return. Just a quick shout out again to ASUS for those in search of incredible. They are the title sponsor on this program. I'm recording this radio show and podcast on an ASUS ZenBook Flip S laptop, which I've had for several years. Works just as good today as it did the day I got it. So be sure to check out asus.com/US/radio for their lineup of laptops. There are ZenBooks, VivoBooks, Studio Books, Expert Books for business, Chromebooks, and much more. All right, we're going to return with Orangetheory Fitness in a moment. Stay with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Orangetheory's Ameen Kazerouni. He's Chief Technical Officer at the company, about how the popular fitness chain is leveraging technology, including a highly personalized max heart rate formula, or algorithm, as he called it, to give you a more tailored workout. Thanks for clarifying how it works, because, I'm sure some listeners were thinking, heck, I don't want to have to be a software engineer in order to just get a good workout, right? It should be somewhat intuitive. How else does OTF, Orangetheory Fitness, leverage technology? Do you use machines as well?
So technology is at the core of the Orangetheory experience. Some of the key pieces of technology that you'll come across in an Orangetheory studio is not super fancy. It's a treadmill and a water rower. Okay. And then you also have a weight floor. What's cool about it is under the hood, the treadmill and the water rower are transmitting telemetry data. And what I mean by telemetry data is simple stats like your incline and your speed, or the strokes per minute on the rower, or the wattage and the energy you're producing on the rower. All of that, coupled with exactly what your heart is doing, gives us at Orangetheory the ability to create extremely intelligent algorithms, because we understand exactly what your response is to the various workouts that you participate in the studio. So even though technology is infused through the experience, you're just running on a treadmill, you're just working out on a rower, you're just working some weights on the weight floor. We're monitoring everything behind the scenes and getting smarter so that we can personalize that experience for you even more.
And just to clarify, you said it is group fitness, right? Not one-on-one with a trainer.
You know, I love that you asked that question, because it is a group workout. But given that there is so much information available for the 20 to 24 people that will be in a class together at any given time, the coach has such rich information about how you are responding to the workout. There's an option for every exercise on the floor. So while you have someone power walking on the treadmill and somebody else running at 10 miles per hour and somebody else jogging at 4 miles an hour, each person's experiencing their own individual workout, and the coach is interfacing with each member. So we honestly like to refer to it as small group personal training, just given how engaged the coach is with each individual in the studio.
And before we wrap up and talk pricing, the wearable that your members have on their wrist, it kind of looks like a smartwatch in a way, right? Or on their forearm.
It does, yeah. You wear it on your forearm. Some people wear it on their wrist. Preference is forearm. But yes, it does look like a smartwatch of sorts. Okay. No screen, though.
All right. And then finally, how much does Orangetheory memberships start at? Just, to get going. And is there a website you'd recommend to learn more?
So if you go to orangetheory.com, you'll see that we offer different membership packages for each of our members' needs. Once you identify the studio closest to you, you can see what the pricing is for an unlimited membership for 8 workouts a month or 4 workouts a month. And you can join right there online and become a member and show up for your first class.
Okay, fair enough. So it's orangetheory.com?
That is correct, orangetheory.com.
Ameen, thank you so much for taking out the time to chat with us today. Appreciate it.
Mark, thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.
Hey, I thought I would share my social media handles once again, as I've been getting some great messages from Tech It Out listeners from all across the country. Love to hear where you're from, how you're tuning into the show, whether it's your local talk radio station or in podcast form. If you didn't know, Tech It Out airs on more than 100 radio stations across the country, and of course, available as an on-demand podcast that you can stream or subscribe to at all the major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, and others. You can go to marksaltzman.com to subscribe, or any of those platforms, by simply searching for the word Tech It Out and perhaps my name, Mark, M-A-R-C, Saltzman. So that's marksaltzman.com. But yes, back to social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. I share lots of videos, articles that I write. I link to podcast and radio interviews like the ones you heard this hour. There are giveaways, polls, memes, lots of fun stuff. I look forward to seeing you online, whichever social platform you like best. People tend to like my tech tips of the day, usually tied to a video where I show how to get more out of your tech, like the secret button on the back of the iPhone, or some Windows 11 hack you didn't know about, how to create a free video surveillance system at home using an old phone or tablet you have lying around, the best apps to save you money, tips to mastering your smart speaker, things you didn't know, like the Alexa whisper mode, which is pretty awesome, how to optimize your TV's picture and sound. So instead of having to buy a new TV, how to get the most out of your existing one, and so much more. So again, it's Mark Saltzman, M-A-R-C-S-A-L-T-Z-M-A-N. A huge thank you to ASUS one last time, the title sponsor on this program. They make seriously awesome laptops. And speaking of computers, last week we had Western Digital on the show to talk about properly backing up your important info to an offline solution, a non-cloud solution that does not require a monthly subscription. They've got some great sales on WD and SanDisk drives as well, so check those out at westerndigital.com. Hey, have a great rest of your day, everyone. A healthy week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.